Hello everyone, I'm looking for some amazing opportunities this week, especially on GBP JPY. I'm going to break down Nasdaq and S&P 500. So, let's get to the charts. So if we go on the weekly time frame, what we can see is obviously we've been bullish, but if we look at last week's candle, we can see we left a huge wick to the upside. Now, it's not the fact that we just left a huge wick to the upside, right, showing us that, buyers lost some momentum towards the end of the week. It's that we haven't even formed a wick to the downside on the weekly time frame. It's Monday today. So generally, the probability of no wick being formed to the downside is very unlikely, especially when last week we had no wick to the downside as well. We don't really see this very often. Obviously, that's not enough for me to just say, yes, I'm selling. But it's just signs of some sort of loss of momentum to the upside, as well as no wick being formed to the downside. So we could potentially see price push back down to form that wick to the downside, right? Now, is that enough? Absolutely not. We need to go to the daily time frame and get more data. So let's go to the daily. On the daily time frame, I can clearly see we are bullish, man. We are bullish, bullish, bullish. Right? We've had steep pullbacks, right? Big pullbacks, and right now we're pulling back here. We had a bearish engulfing, right? And then momentum continued through. Now, first and foremost, this could be the higher low point and we could push up, but I can see this nice little structural level, right? This is the previous structural daily level which was broken. Now if we can potentially come back and retest this level, and maintain above it, we can continue our buys, right? It will be a pro trend trade. Now this setup I'm looking for is a bit more risky, right? I want to make that known. It's a bit more risky. It's a counter trend trade overall because the weekly and daily is bullish. But based off what I said on the weekly, based off the daily, having that target there, which there is no guarantee we will pull back to, right? I have a setup in mind. If we go on the 4 hour, I can clearly see there's been a break of structure, right? Yes, there has. Now the 4 hour is bearish. How do I know that? Because if we look, we can see we had a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and what have we done? We broke structure. We just formed a lower low, right? Now, not only that, I can see this little left shoulder, right? You can see it. Just think about someone with a big head, right? And they ain't worked out the left shoulder properly. They don't really go gym. They don't do much on the shoulders. They don't ever work out shoulders, so they just got little shoulder like that. Now I can see another potential right shoulder being formed here. We have the left, we have the right shoulder. Now, this is more risky, absolutely. You could enter sells from this right shoulder and look to sell it down into that daily level, right? You could wait for the break and retest of the neckline and then look for sells which would be more conservative, right? And would show that 4 hour is potentially continuing its bearish move, right? So that's on the